T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Well, I gotta say, how about that? I don't need a fortune teller like Kevin the Medium to tell you that it's gonna be a hell of a great show and a really exciting night, but we brought in Kevin the Medium anyways. Yeah. We're live across Canada and 33 U.S. states now, as we've learned of late. Coming up on the program today, Jock Wilson from QR Calgary. Don't be upset at my shirt. It's just a shirt. I'm going to be honest, I'm dying to talk about tonight's game, the Florida Panthers at the Winnipeg Jets, among a lot of other very exciting NHL games tonight. But we're going to get going with last night's NHL games. We've got a lot of football to get to with Kevin first. But Kevy, you staying warm, my dude?
I am. If you had a wider shot, you'd be able to see the fireplace on behind me to keep me warm.
Oh, I love it. Listen, hey, to all my Canadian people, God bless you, especially those that are working outdoors, for God's sakes, that for sure. But also those that just go outside voluntarily. I don't know why the hell you would. As I said, the Panthers are in Winnipeg, and before they left Florida, I was talking with members of the team. I'm like, what are you going to do up there? They're like, not leave our hotel room and order room service. They got to play a hockey game. They got to play a hockey game tonight. And I'm telling you, I'm dying to talk about that, but let's go to last night, okay? The game of the night, voted by the viewers last night, was the Detroit-Toronto game, and I watched it on TNT. Dylan Larkin scored 3 minutes into overtime as the Red Wings down the Maple Leafs 2-1. Larkin won it in the extra period after Detroit defenseman Mo Seider stole the puck from Maple Leafs winger Easton Cowan and set up the Red Wings captain. That poor Cowan, how old's the kid? 20? 21?
Yeah.
And they're ripping him apart in Toronto today. You got to crap on everybody. That's just the way it is. Hang on, Kev. Tommy Novak and Evgeny Malkin each had a goal and an assist as Pittsburgh beat Calgary 4-1. And Brock Besser, he's alive. He had a goal and an assist as Vancouver erased an early 2-goal deficit and held on to end their 11-game losing streak with a 5-3 victory over Washington. So listen, yesterday it was just me in hour one. Today I'm going to defer to our guest, Kev. The Canucks won. You got your jersey on today? What the hell? When's the parade start?
I was just going to say I'm planning the parade. It will be in Maple Creek down my road. I'm going to be dancing down the road if they win too.
Well, that would be a very short parade in Maple Creek, Saskatchewan, where Kevin hangs his hat. But listen, I got to be honest because Kev's here, Canucks fan. You know, we have fans from every team that watch this show and want to chime in. And frankly, yeah, I'm dying to talk about tonight's games, but I'm dying to talk about my next point. But before I go any further, you had a lot of viewers for, I was going to say visitors, but viewers for your podcast last night, the Hughes Sports Podcast. I watched for a while, but this time I didn't sneak in and troll you. I just watched.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, well, okay. I didn't want to distract you guys, but just tell me this. Was it you or who has discerned that this is the worst period in Vancouver Canucks franchise history? We're in it.
That was me.
Okay, did you look it up?
No, I don't need to. I've watched every game since 1970. I was 6 years old. Have we had less talent on our team or a less talented team? Probably. But we've never had a team where we've had talent and they don't perform. You can just see when they get behind. And I'll be honest, I didn't watch the game last night because I just can't handle watching Canuck games right now. But it's just sad to watch when they get behind. If they get behind, their shoulders slump. You can just see them. There's no heart in this team.
Oh, yeah. No, there isn't. Well, listen, it's depressing as it gets. The Vancouver viewers, BC viewers are tired of talking about it, so let's keep it positive, and it's what's going to roll us into the next point. This is actually where it's going to get real fun. Listen up, everybody, because this will pertain to everybody, and that includes you, Kev, the medium. Buffalo Bills owner Terry Pegula felt his team hit, quote, the proverbial playoff wall, and that led to his decision to abruptly fire coach Sean McDermott this week. Speaking at a season-ending news conference, Pegula said he made up his mind immediately following a 33-30 overtime loss to Denver in an NFL divisional playoff game on Saturday. Pegula said he based his decision in part on seeing how distraught many Bills players appeared in the locker room after the loss. Listen, these owners holding news conferences, I'm here for it, man. Stay with me, Kev. I love it. And Pegula's just getting ripped apart for everything he said. Do we understand that you're going to get ripped apart for anything that you say? Mother Teresa would be ripped apart right now because that's just the way of the world that we live in. But let me just say this. We'll continue this after the break. But to you, Kev, and all of the viewers, and I'll chime in my own thoughts as well. If you had the chance to ask your favorite team owner one question, what would it be? If you were sitting, because they're out having news conferences now. I think it's amazing. Terry Pegula hasn't addressed the media since 2019. Like, God bless the guy for having the balls to do it.
What would I ask him? That's a great question. That would have to take some thought. There's so many questions.
I know. And I would think, Kev, you being a medium, it would have immediately popped into your mind. Like, for instance, go ahead.
There's so many different questions you can ask. Like, which one, if you only get the one, which one to ask?
That's why you need to make it count. Okay.
Yes.
So that's why I asked it just before the break, because I want everybody to think about it I want to think about which team. You only get to pick one team and you only get to have one question of that owner. So, I mean, Kev loves the BC Lions the most. So maybe it's Amar Dolman, but you're sitting there wearing a Canucks jersey. So maybe it's the Aquilinis family. For me, who are my favorite teams that I can sit and point it out right now? The owner of the Regina Pats. I got a question for him. The Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones. How much time you got? Okay. The Blue Jays would be pretty simple. Okay. Ted Rogers and the Rogers. It wouldn't be that hard, So, but everybody what would be your question? Kev, I'm sorry. I should have told you before we went to air that was going to be the fun part of all this. But I think it's a great thing that the owners are having news conferences. Don't you?
Yes, I wish the Canucks owner would have a news conference and tell us he's selling the team. That would be my question to the Aquilinis. When will you sell this team?
That's a good one.
Yes.
That's a good one. Okay. Well, it's coming in now. Carlos in Indianapolis says, my question to the owner would be, do you want to go on the RP show? LOL. Well, you're a Colts fan, Carlos, in Indiana. If you want to get Carly Ursay on this show, I would love to talk to Carly Ursay, the owner of the Indianapolis Colts. Jeff the Stamps fan says, when are we going to win the Stanley Cup? He would like to talk to Murray Edwards, who grew up across the street from my cousins in Regina. Oh, I got questions for Murray, too. See, we're getting it. So think about it in the break, everybody. It's a short break. What would you ask the owner of your team given the chance? We'll be right back. You're watching the RP show across Canada and 33 U.S. states right here on the Game Plus television network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
As you can tell, it's been a great day. It's going to continue to be a great day. Thanks for joining us on the RP Show. Got one of my closest friends here, Kevin the Medium from the Hughes Sports Podcast with us. And by the way, we're brought to you in part by Pump Jacks Cathedral and Pump Jacks Weyburn Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. It's been a fun show already. We got a lot of interesting comments have come in from the viewers. Again, if you had the chance to ask the owner of your favorite team one question, what would it be? And just updating the poll question for EMJ Marketing. What's the game of the night in the NHL? Leading the way is Pittsburgh at Edmonton with 57% of the vote. 43% are saying Buffalo at Montreal. And nobody's voted yet for Florida at Winnipeg. Did y'all freeze? That's on Twitter. Can you thaw out your fingers and vote on Twitter, please? Or maybe there's a different YouTube vote. I'm not sure, but please thaw yourselves out and vote for the game of the night in the National Hockey League. Okay, Kevin, you've had enough time to think. Is it the Aquilinis, the owners of the Canucks? Yeah,
100%. It would be the Aquilinis, and I'd like to have a half hour with them and ask them all kinds of questions. But if there was one, it would be, why won't you sell this team? Or when would you sell them? What would it take to sell this team? It was a question I asked Jake last night on our show, because similar to, I think, the Calgary Flames, we're not going anywhere until we get new owners.
You know what's interesting on that? Kevin Carius was on here yesterday from Sports 1440 Edmonton saying the Canucks very reasonably could miss the playoffs for a decade. But again, the BC viewers have had enough of talking about that. Jeff, the Stampeders fan, writes in. He says, I wish Murray Edwards would sell Calgary Sports and Entertainment Corporation and a new owner and sell the Stampeders to an enthusiastic owner. Well, see, that's where I realized, and Kev had a front row seat with me in Calgary when I reported that there was a deal being worked on to sell the Calgary Stampeders. And oh my God, I didn't find out till like a year or two later how pissed off the Flames were at me for reporting that. And that's when I'm like, you know what? Even though I believe it to be true and I had a good source, I don't think I'm going to stay in this rumor business because I don't know. The business has just changed. You know, the business has just changed in that way. Navy Don writes in, he says, I want to ask the owner of the RP show when he's going to get rid of that stupid test pattern commercial. I say that with love. He says, I say that with love and admiration. Well, the owners are Joe and me, and we'll confer over that, and we'll decide. John writes in from Winnipeg, and he says, I would ask the owners of the Calgary Stampeders and Flames, why couldn't they build a stadium for both teams that would wow the world? Calgary did host the Olympics Yeah. So anyways, there's a, since we're sitting here, Kev, and you're my guest today, if you had a chance to ask Amar Doman a question, what would it be, the owner of the BC Lions?
Ooh, that's a good one. Is there any truth to the rumor that the BC Lions might follow the Whitecaps to the new Hastings Park Arena being talked about?
Okay, good. Well, and again, for those that just tuned in here on Game Plus TV across Canada and 33 U.S. states, my favorite team's the Dallas Cowboys. I would say to Jerry Jones, Jerry, will you ever sell the team? Will you? I mean, I know the answer, but I got to ask. My other favorite team is the Regina Pats. I would ask owner Sean Semple, why are your tickets so expensive? And point three, my favorite baseball team is the Blue Jays. And I would say, keep going, guys. Sorry, I doubted you. I would be like that lady Lynn Jones in Jacksonville from the Jacksonville Free Press. You just go, coach. You're great. You get him next year. What the hell are you going to say to the Blue Jays, Kev? Other than, are you going to sign a reliever? But I mean, yeah. What would you say?
The Blue Jays, you just give them a high five and say, keep doing what you're doing. They went to Game 7 of the World Series. Come on.
Well, that's what I think. I don't know if you followed that story at all with the Jaguars reported that Lynn Jones, that she'd even ask a question in the room. The nice, I don't know if it was older, I wouldn't say elderly black lady, but she was just like, you're doing great, coach. You go get him next year. You Duval. We just love what you're doing. And everybody was like,
I did see that clip. That was an awesome clip. I smiled and laughed so much because who does that?
I know. Well, that's just the way that it is now. And I got such a bang out of, I'm at a stage where I just kind of sit, as you've noticed, I just sit back and watch now. I don't really wade into too much. It's a hell of a lot more peaceful. I'm just enjoying everybody going off. I'm just glad that I'm not one of them. And you don't really either. Although when it comes to the Canucks and the Lions, you kind of do. And that's why you're an irrational fan, which you're okay with.
I'm good with that. I guess I did go off yesterday. I was thinking on our show, I don't think I went off. Jake went off a couple times on our show last night. I went off in the CFL last night for just going silent after their winter meetings. It's like, where have you been? What are you doing?
Actually, that reminds me, I can get back on point with my points here. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But the lines are open. 902-518-3033 for Western Dodge. Wayne writes in, he says, my team is the Rough Riders, but who would answer my question? The CEO? I guess. Vintage Sasko writes in, he says, hi, Uncle Rod and Full House Hughes. I'd love to hear someone cut a scathing promo on Mother Teresa or the Pope within reason. Heat sells in this biz. Signed, Kayfabe Sask. I mean, I mean, we got in that debate here a while back because I said I'm just not engaging. There's people coming at me, taking runs at me, and I'm like, go bark up another tree. And I don't know what it is. That for this 2 hours, Kev, you and I have talked about this. We're not going to be the people yelling over each other, calling so-and-so a clown. To me, it's so distasteful. It's like, if that's what you want, go watch another show because you're not going to get that here. I don't think you like it either.
No. I mean, Jake and I sometimes talk over each other, but it's done more of, I got something to say and I'm going to say it. I turn those shows off, to be blunt. There's enough angriness. Is that a word? Angriness in the world right now. There's enough angriness. It's my new word for the day. I hate it. There's too much in the world. So that's why I love your show. And I've told you that from day one. It's like, you come here, you watch, and if you don't smile during this show, you're never going to smile. It's a fact.
I think that's why everybody loves this show. But I was out for a walk last night, and I was thinking why the NHL people are all coming up to me at games and saying that they're watching it from Los Angeles, San Jose, and obviously across Western Canada. And I know the answer. It's the same reason why we had all the CFL viewers forever and still do. It's that you know that what you're getting from the host is honest, and it's how I feel, and you know that nobody's pulling my strings, period. You know you can trust what you're getting every day, and we try to be entertaining, which, speaking of, I'm going to move on to point three. We'll come back on all of these things. Number 3 of the Quick Six show topics. It's Connor McDavid versus Sidney Crosby tonight as the Edmonton Oilers host the Pittsburgh Penguins. McDavid already has 85 points in 51 games, while Crosby's on pace for his 21st consecutive point-per-game season. Also tonight, the Montreal Canadiens host the Buffalo Sabres, the Ottawa Senators visit the Nashville Predators, and the Winnipeg Jets entertain the Florida Panthers. As I said, last I saw on Twitter, nobody voted for the Jets-Panthers game, and I think it's because you're all frozen. So go inside, warm up, and vote for that game, please. And by the way, I'll be on Winnipeg Sports Talk at 1:30 Winnipeg time, 1:30 SAS time with Hustler Patterson previewing the game tonight, the Panthers and the Jets. I'll talk about it a little more, but point 4, because it is the Canadian hour of the program here today. Point 4, defensive end Willie Jefferson agreed to a 1-year extension with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers today. Willie J was slated to become a free agent next month, a 6-time CFL All-Star. Willie Jefferson was the league's top defensive player in 2019. He is a 3-time Grey Cup champion with Edmonton and Winnipeg. Is he too old, Kev? Do you want to rile up the Smurf Mafia? Your term, not mine. Do you want to rile them up here today?
Well, you know what? I keep looking at Winnipeg, and they're not getting any younger. I said it last year at the beginning of the season. Will this same crew be able to take them back to where they were? I think they got to get younger. They're almost bringing their walkers out on the field at this point, and they'll probably be blue.
I'm writing that.
I know I'm being silly.
Oh, you're going to get it from your term, the Smurf Mafia. They're almost bringing their walkers out at this point. Are you okay with that being today's meme?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. Chief Johnny Moe writes in and says he's in Winnipeg. He says the cold weather doesn't have me down. Thank you. He says, by the way, the Jets will beat the Panthers tonight 3-2. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I'd rather have 27-year-old Clarence Hicks than Willie Jefferson. Okay, I apologize. I'm not as into the CFL circles as I used to be. I don't even know who Clarence Hicks is. I know who Willie Jefferson is, though. He's a game wrecker. And at 34, they've been saying Willie's old for 4 or 5 years. You know, and I think if Winnipeg hadn't signed him, somebody would, for sure. He's probably. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I was being a little bit facetious when I was talking about him being old, but he is. I mean, at 34, it's getting up there for his position. So would somebody else sign him? Probably. I think it's great that Winnipeg signed him.
Yeah, well, when you look at the culture that they've built in Winnipeg, which I believe is still there. I think as long as Mike O'Shea is there, and Zach Collaros is there, and Kyle Walters is there, and frankly, Wade Miller is there, they're going to have a good culture, and Willie Jefferson is a huge part of that. And I know that it's a very quick and sharp drop-off when you become old, and maybe Winnipeg's had that drop-off and nobody's told them yet, because they did finish 4th last year and crossed over, right, which they had never done. Through this remarkable reign of theirs. They still made the playoffs. But again, yeah, Willie has slowed down. Stevie Wonder can see that. But I would take him over this Clarence Hicks. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says Hicks was a Western All-Star and up-and-coming star in this. Yeah, sure. Willie's a 6-time All-Star. That kind of reminds me of when the media went up to my guy, Troy Aikman, after the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl, and they said to Aikman, what do you think of this Patrick Mahomes? Does he remind me of you? Or remind you of him? Sorry, remind you of you? Sorry. And Aikman goes, talk to me when he's got 3 Super Bowls. Now he does. Yeah, go ahead.
Having said that, and not that I ever disagree with your takes, but Hicks, I would take Hicks in a heartbeat. This kid's going to be a superstar.
I'm sure he is. I'm just saying, I'm a Willie guy. Can we not have have a debate.
That's
totally
Did
fine.
I just agree with Jeff, the Stamps fan?
Yes, you did. And but again, it's a business decision, as they all say, which it is. I mean, Winnipeg's happy to have their guy. Calgary's happy to have their guy. But that kind of goes back to a little bit of the media, and we're going to have to break here. But part of the gobbledygook that we see out there. After the Bills owner spoke yesterday, he did cause a lot of problems, it seems, within the Bills organization, from what I hear. One reporter says, sources say Bills quarterback Josh Allen upset at owner and GM for a Next guy, sources say Josh Allen backs owner Terry Pagula, and blah, blah, blah. It's like polar opposite from, seemingly reputable media sources out of Buffalo. But that goes on in every city,
yes,
with every team. And the sick thing is it happens in news as well. I just don't follow it as much. We'll be right back. We'll keep this rolling. Get your questions and comments in. If you could ask your favorite team owner one question, what would it be? I feel like we're not done with that topic yet, but we got more to go. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hope you're having as much fun as we are and enjoying the program as much as we are, the guys that are on it. Kevin, the medium, with us from the Hughes Sports Podcast. You'll see him in a second. We have an NFL note from Thursday. Christian McCaffrey is the first player to be a finalist for 3 AP NFL awards, joining Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May, and Matthew Stafford in the running for the Associated Press 2025 NFL Most Valuable Player Award. I'll get into more of that in hour 2 when we go to air across Nevada. A nationwide panel of 50 media members who regularly cover the league completed voting before the playoffs began. Votes were tabulated by the accounting firm of Lutz and Carr, not to be confirmed with the legal firm Kev, Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. Okay, so I'll get to more hockey after this. Something about you, Kev, has me bubbly today. So thank you for that. Okay.
That's what I do.
You're the bubble bath of sports talk. Well, okay. So, yeah, we're going to get to tonight's games in the NHL later on. But we brought up Willie Jefferson signing the CFL. It's the Canadian hour, and maybe people want to break from hockey talk. I get it. And John Ohm brings a really good point to the table. He says, I can't wait to get some young blood at quarterback in the CFL. You saw that. And
Yes.
to be honest, I'm going to sit here and say, I can wait. Because here's why. I want to sit down and watch the guys that I feel like I know. Zach Caleros, Bo Levi Mitchell, Trevor Harris, Cody Fajardo, Vernon Adams. We need that. Okay, because without that, and when I say we, if I'm talking about the CFL saying we, you understand, or we as a Canadian sports, we need that for the CFL, because otherwise we're the damn UFL, period, which is coming up in my sports update. They released their schedule today. Nobody cares because nobody knows who the players are. Deal or no deal?
Well, I agree, but I disagree. Those players, those QBs you just mentioned, aren't going to play forever. So as long as a team is honing, training, bringing up a young QB behind those names, then I can see it. But if you don't have somebody, you look at Winnipeg, who do they have behind Caleros? Do you know?
Well, yeah, Chris Strevler, which they've deemed is an experiment that's not going to work. Okay.
Right.
And then another guy by the name of Terry Wilson, who I couldn't pick out of a lineup. And then they've got Taylor Elgersma, who may never come back to the Canadian Football League, the kid out of Wilfrid Laurier, right? But they're trying to bring those guys along. You understand that the CFL is like a microcosm of the NFL, in that the owners and the fans won't put up with winning. Look at all the coaches fired in the NFL. Frankly, it's shocking to me that Bob Dice was the only. No, Dinwiddie left. Dice got fired. So there's 2 of 9. That's still not a lot by CFL standards. But the point is, nobody's patient anymore.
No.
So, yeah, we love Drake May. There's fresh, new, young blood, and he's leading the Patriots into the AFC Championship on Sunday. That's awesome. I get that. But I just think in the CFL, I have a tough time identifying. No, I don't know who Clarence Hicks is. I don't know who he is. And I watch way more games than the average sports fan. CFL games, I do. So all I'm saying is, you consciously bring in a young guy? No.
What do you do with the Trey Ford?
Yeah, well, he cooked his own goose. That's his fault.
Right?
And nobody else's.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't
No.
disagree.
Well, we're kind of arguing against each other here. They gave him the chance, and he screwed it up. So they had to give the ball back to Cody. Sorry, you're going to say something.
They gave him a chance before he was ready. And that's why I was saying I love that they have these old veterans, but they got to hone and bring up these young kids and hone them to our game. Our game is not college football. It's not even close. So when you have a Trey Ford, you can't just throw him in. You've got to
He wasn't a rookie,
slowly play him.
He wasn't a rookie. Like, it's funny because George Cortez is a close friend of mine, lives in Houston. We've had this talk. And knowing that he is the coach of all coaches, and you spent enough time in Calgary, you know who George Cortez is, 5-time Grey Cup champion there with the Stampeders. But he's like, Rod, it would be nice if we had like 3 years to develop a guy. And I'm like, George, that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. Not anymore. You're lucky. Like Trey Ford had one, did he not, to apprentice? And then they threw him in there. At least one, maybe more. I think he had, that was like his 3rd year before they said, you're the guy. Okay. So again, they tried, it didn't work. So yeah, he was exciting, but I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that he was Canadian. If he was an American, nobody would have cared as much. No. I really believe that.
I do too, because he's Canadian, playing in a Canadian league. The spotlight was on him. But the problem, I think, is we live in this microwave age where everything has to be instant. We want to win. We want to win today. All you got to do is look at the crowd in Vancouver. The lower bowl, half empty. And they want 3 to 4 years to rebuild. They're going to go broke. Simple. Nobody's willing to take that time anymore.
Man, that's my point. So when John Ohm, whom I love, he's the best, says, I want to see some new young blood in the quarterback. I don't. I'm sorry. But that's what we have as a debate here every day. I think we can just talk about these things and not fight. Carlos in Indianapolis writes that he says, those young guys will hopefully give you reasons to remember their names. Hey, if you have to throw them in because of necessity, because your veteran quarterback is hurt, that's a different story. That's a totally different story. But I mean, it's not as exciting when this ain't 1996 anymore. When TSN shows the graphic of the 2 quarterbacks back coming up tomorrow night on Football Friday, I'm like, who are these guys? These are starting quarterbacks, and I have no idea who they are. Okay? So whoever's fault that is, I don't know, but I'm pretty damn sure. I don't think it's mine. Anyways.
It goes back to, let's market this game. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I'll shut up now.
I know. Well, hey, they're lucky we talked about them this much today. Scott in Vancouver writes, and he says, please fold the UFL so the CFL can poach and expand. This has turned into a de facto Football Friday, but it'll be hockey after the break once you adjourn. I was willing to give the UFL a chance. I really was, but I just don't care anymore. I know a lot of people that watch this show are huge UFL fans. That's great. I know one guy in the league, Corey Chamberlain. One guy. I don't care about the UFL. So they had, I don't know if it whatever, is it even their fault? They tried.
How many spring leagues have tried? They try and they fail. You're not going to compete with college ball, and you're not going to compete with the NFL. So why? It's not going to work.
In the States, right? And I guess that's why the CFL works, but because it's different.
It is.
Scott in Vancouver writes, and he says it's the same thing with the music industry. Bands can't develop their skills over several albums. Well, see, that's why I stay out of music. I was a country music DJ, and it was fun, but sports grabbed me and pulled me in. And as I talked yesterday, politics tried to pull me in, and I said, no, thanks, and don't call me again because I'm not interested. And then that won't change. John Ohm, by the way, says, marketing costs dollars. So why even try? I'm going to get pissed off here talking about this. So, and I'll get to viewer comments when we come back. Kev, the last word. We got a few minutes here, but what's your last word?
Let's just be happy. Now we've turned this happy, bubbly thing into, let's be happy. There's enough bad stuff happening in the world. Why can't we just talk sports and smile?
I absolutely agree. And I consciously didn't really bring up this Sunday's NFL Conference Championships because I'll have you on tomorrow and we'll talk more about that. But I haven't had you on all week until today. You said you watched all of the games on the weekend, all 4?
I did. We were, as you know, we were making sausage. It's a thing in Saskatchewan. We make deer sausage, apparently. And it's an all-day event. So, we watched every single game. On Sunday, we had people over. We watched all the games as well. It was fun. I liked it. And as you know, I'm not a big NFL fan, but I really enjoyed those games.
Well, like I say, we're going to have to. Oh, we'll be right back. Thanks, Kev.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is viewer takeover to the top of the hour here on episode 1661 of the RP Show, coming at you live on the Game Plus television network out of Toronto, beaming across Canada and 33 U.S. states. Hour 2 will go to air across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. We do it every day, the Junior Hockey Report for the Mad Greek Eatery in Moose Jaw. The Western Hockey League announced the 44 NHL draft-eligible players set to compete at the 2026 WHL Prospects Game, scheduled to be held Wednesday, February 18th at the Langley Event Center in Langley, BC. Rosters were selected based on NHL Central Scouting's midterm rankings. Team West features 4 members of the host Vancouver Giants and the top-ranked player in the entire Canadian Hockey League, Prince George Cougars defenseman Carson Carrolls. Again, the top prospects game, the WHL prospects game, will be in Langley February 18th. And that's the Junior Hockey Report for the Mad Greek Eatery. Whether it's pizza, their unbelievable ribs or authentic Greek favorites, make it the Mad Greek Eatery tonight. Open until 11 p.m. Order online, pick up, or dine in at themadgreekeatery.com. Going back and forth between a lot of topics here on the RP show today, and we thank you, Kevin the Medium, for his time. Going back, we covered a lot of ground fast. The Vancouver Canucks won last night 4-3 over Washington. I believe that was the final, 4-3. Either way, they won it. Scott in Vancouver writes in, he says, the Canucks didn't lose 12 in a row. Yay! Cause for celebration on the West Coast. And I'm going to get into a sports update here, and maybe I'll do that right now. But I should tell you, the text line is open, 902-518-3033. It's brought to you by Western Dodge. Are you ready for a new ride? Head to Western Dodge where the deals are real and the service is legendary. I also invite you to vote on the poll today. I swear to God, where are the Winnipeggers? Where are the Winnipeggers? Our number 2 region for viewership. I thought that the Panthers-Jets game would have everybody revved up, which it probably does, but Winnipeg Sports Talk isn't even on the air yet. They go to air when we go off the air, which incidentally at 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central, I'll be on with Hustler Patterson previewing tonight's game. Now we're getting into it. Was it this week or last? I said to Scruffy when he was on, have the playoffs started in the National Hockey League? And Scruffy was like, not yet. I think that was Monday this week. He goes, when the Olympics are over, playoffs are on. But it kind of feels like a playoff game tonight in Winnipeg between 2 non-playoff spot teams. Paul Maurice's return, which I went back and watched his news conference from yesterday when they were still here in Florida, and he was asked about going back to Winnipeg. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not telling you Winnipeggers anything you don't know, but you had a great one there in Paul Maurice. Oh, man. Class guy, highly intelligent. And we were doing the math the other day, about 3 seasons, 2.5 seasons, he'll be the all-time leader in games coached in the National Hockey League. And I mean, I kind of sit back and go, because I have the wonderful opportunity to interview him almost every day. And I'd like to ask him about achieving that record and how much it would mean to him to break it. But then I'm like, well, it's kind of an obvious question. Of course he wants it. And I kind of relate it to a lot of my own life. You know, when people say, I was happy to see my record fall, are they actually telling the truth? Because I don't think that they are. My 20 seasons as voice of the Rough Riders, I don't want that to be broken. And I don't think it will be. I don't want it broken. Or my 20 seasons as the voice of the Regina Pats, 15 on radio, 5 more on television. I don't want that to be broken. No. So, of course, Paul Maurice wants to become the all-time leader in games coached in the National Hockey League. There's no doubt. Why ask him? I have the ability to talk myself out of doing stupid things now that I never used to have. The sports update is brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone. As I was alluding to earlier, yes, it's official. Every game of the United Football League's 2026 season has been announced, with all the action kicking off under the lights on Friday, March 27th in Louisville. With more entertainment, giveaways at every game, theme games kicking off with city celebrations in every market, musical acts, and more. You don't want to miss a moment of the action. To see the full schedule, go to theufl.com. Yes, that was an email that came directly into my inbox from the UFL, and I cut and pasted it. You're welcome, UFL. But as I was saying, I want to talk hockey here. It's January, for the love of God. But they had my attention. They lost it. Where the hell is The Rock? Where's The Rock in all this? I thought he owned the league. Chief, I interrupt this sports update for the comment from Chief Johnny Moe. He says Rod's wearing a Jet shirt under the Panthers shirt at tonight's game. Here's the thing. All my Winnipeg Jets gear, which, yes, I have multiple articles of Winnipeg Jets gear, is in Canada, and it's all like minus 40 grade. If I wore it here in Florida, I would die. This thing is like sheer, almost. Florida Panthers. And I'm just wearing it because they're playing tonight at Winnipeg. I knew it would get you talking. Where were we? Oh, and another. Okay, now we're back on track with what we want. John Ohm says, I love Paul Maurice. Maybe he loves Paul LaPolice too. I don't know, but he says, I love Paul Maurice. Anybody who says we were all created equal never met Paul Maurice. That's what I think. He's special. Anyways, back to the sports update for the Ultimate Fan Zone. Connor McDavid against Sidney Crosby. Headlines the NHL tonight as the Edmonton Oilers host the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think I was reading this earlier. McDavid has 85 points in 51 games, while Sid the Kid is on a point-per-game pace for a 21st consecutive season. Also tonight, Montreal hosts Buffalo. The Sens visit the Predators, and the Jets, as mentioned, take on the Florida Panthers. Where's the guy that wrote in earlier? I'd have to sift through. I'd have to go dumpster diving through the comments to find it. The comment about Terry Pegula also owning the Buffalo Sabres. Like, this ain't the Buffalo Sports Show. I get that. But, man, are they ever in the news right now? The owner of the Bills coming out, Terry Pegula, and depending on who you say, listen to, he threw the outgoing coach under the bus, Sean McDermott, which I didn't watch the whole news conference, but from the clips I heard, he did. That's the one thing with the Bills. What should I say? Tying a can to a coach or a quarterback or a broadcaster after they've been fired and lit on fire and sent out of town, that ain't new. So why are we sitting here debating what Terry Pegula had to say? That was our second point of this whole thing today. I love the owner news conferences. I feel like I should push this into next hour, but maybe we'll just keep talking about it next hour. Because here's the thing, when you put a microphone in front of the owner, they have no idea what's been going on all year, okay? They're not in the dressing room, the locker room. They're not at the front of the bus. They're not even on the damn plane a lot of the time. They don't know what's going on the trenches. So then you stuff a microphone in front of them at the end of the season, and they say the dumbest shit. That's why I'm so entertained. Because yeah, it's clearly a grease fire in Buffalo. No doubt. And I'm leaving the Sabres aside. Just because they've won a few games doesn't mean they're all that. So let's pump the brakes on that. And then number two, the general manager of the Bills, Brandon Beane, is asked by the media yesterday about their draft history, and Pegula interrupts him and goes, oh, hang on, let me address that. These draft choices weren't because of the GM. It was the coaching staff. I said, can you just sit there and don't say anything? But I'm the owner, so I can say whatever I want. So this whole carefully crafted image that everybody's been building all year, or since 2019, the last time Terry Pegula actually met with the media, he blows it all up in 1 hour-long news conference because he hasn't been around. That's all. Let's keep getting the owner news conferences. I love them, man. Very entertaining entertainment. What'd you say, 2 minutes? Picking back up. Round one tees off today at the American Express. Over 3 courses in the California desert. World number one Scotty Scheffler leads a strong field that includes 13 of the top 30 players in the world. Sepp Straka is the defending champion. Canadians Taylor Pendrith and Nick Taylor will play together. The sports update is brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store. Swing by Ultimate Fan Zone for the hottest fan gear or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca, where real fans get their gear. I mean, that's, again, we're doing really well here. In terms of ratings, are up a lot. People know what they're going to get here every day. NHL, NFL, CFL, Blue Jays when they're winning. And as I was assembling the sports, I just threw the golf in because why not? But there was a story there that all the Canadians got punted from the Australian Open. And I'm like, I didn't put it in the sports update, but I will tell you that Moose is there at the Australian Open. I texted him late last week, and it didn't even, that home, it didn't show up as delivered or read or nothing. I'm like, what the hell? Did Moose die? Then he gets back to me. He's like, I've been traveling for 33 hours to Australia. I'll get into it more next hour. But he's there. But I don't care about tennis, so we didn't talk about that. Hour 2 coming up. Jock Wilson will be with us from QR Calgary. Get ready for that. You're watching the RP show across Canada and 33 U.S. states here on Game Plus Television.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Previously on Landman. Oh, wait. Wrong show. Oh, but I did watch the season finale last night. I'm like, that's it? 10 shows done? Oh, well, you're just going to have to watch old episodes of the RP show. Yeah. Or watch it live, because that's what we are here on Game Plus Television, Hour 2 across Canada, 33 states now across America. And also, we welcome in the Nevada viewers on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. Get comfortable. The Golden Knights are playing tonight. I'm going to tell you right now that I'm very excited about tonight's games in the National Hockey League. They're far better than last night's games in the National Hockey League, in my opinion. Well, yeah. There were some good ones, and we're going to open with that. But my picks sucked last night, man. I hope you didn't take my picks to the betting window because you'd have lost big. But I didn't tell you to. I had told you not to. Let's get going. Let's get down to business. I will just tell you that coming up in the next segment, Jock Wilson will be joining us from QR Calgary, one of the finest broadcasters I've ever heard, and really good guy to boot. I'm dying to talk about tonight's games, but let's just walk it back for a second. Voted by the viewers as the game of the night, Wednesday night of the National Hockey League, was Detroit-Toronto. Dylan Larkin scored 3 minutes into overtime, and the Red Wings down the Maple Leafs 2-1. That was on NHL on TNT doubleheader. Really enjoyed it. Larkin won it in the extra period after Detroit defenseman Moritz Seider stole the puck from Leafs winger Easton Cowan and set up the Red Wings captain. Two things on that. They come back from commercial after the game to the NHL on TNT panel. Are you lucky enough in Canada to see it? Those watching on Game and Biz was just, he looked like a 10-year-old at his desk at school after being scolded. And this poor Easton Cowan, what was he, 2021? And he's just getting roasted in Toronto today. I see it for being -1 on the overtime winning goal, and it's just like, it's unforgiving world out there. You can see why they say to the players. They used to say, don't read the paper. Don't listen to the radio. Now it's, don't open your phone. But they do, because they're human. Tommy Novak and Evgeny Malkin each had a goal and an assist as Pittsburgh beat Calgary 4-1. Part of the games that I got wrong, but I saw a photo of Theoren Fleury with Sidney Crosby before the game in the Saddle Dome. And Theo, if you're watching right now, because I know you watch every day, and if you're not, Colin Patterson definitely is, Flames alumni. Was that AI, that photo of you two? Because Theo looked like he was 18. Or he's had some work done. Brock Besser had a goal and an assist as Vancouver erased an early 2-goal deficit and held on to to snap their 11-game slide with a 4-3 victory over Washington. And that's the interesting thing about fans. 1 hour ago, we had Kevin the Medium with us, my dear friend from the Hughes Sports Podcast. He was wearing his Canucks jersey. And the Vancouver fans and viewers are writing in going, we're not the worst. You actually are, but at least you didn't lose 12 in a row. Those were some of the highlights from last night's games. It was a fun night of watching NHL hockey. To be honest, yeah, I'm dying to talk about the Jets and the Panthers tonight. And if we don't talk about it enough for you here, I'll be on Winnipeg Sports Talk at 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central, talking about the Panthers and the Jets with Hustler Patterson, just so you know. Consider yourself warned. I agree with our Monday, Tuesday co-host Scruffy that the NHL playoffs haven't started yet. But to me, they kind of have. And this game in Winnipeg tonight is that. Panthers, Jets, Paul Maurice's return. It's got two of the best goalies in the world. Connor Hellebuck, Sergei Bobrovsky. Bob hasn't played since his goalie fight Monday night. I can't wait for the game. Point 2. I love talking about this. It's my favorite thing to talk about. Buffalo Bills owner Terry Pegula felt his team hit, quote, the proverbial playoff wall, and that led to his decision to abruptly fire coach Sean McDermott this week. Speaking at a season-ending news conference, Pegula said he made up his mind immediately following Sunday's 33, or whatever day that was, Saturday's overtime loss to Denver in the divisional playoff game. Yeah, it was Saturday. Pegula based his decision, he says, on seeing how distraught many Bills players appeared in the locker room after the loss. So, Pegula's getting ripped by everybody. But who cares? For what he said, throwing his coach under the bus, scouting staff, everybody, you know. And anyways, you get in front of a microphone, you're going to get ripped. So let's just get that out of the way, okay? You better expect to be ripped if you're going to speak. what we've been having fun with through the program today is, I put it to Kev, I'll put it to you. If you had the chance to ask the owner of your favorite team one question, what would it be? And somewhere along the way here, John I found it. He says, owners need to stay out of the spotlight, i.e. Jerry Jones. Well, that's just never going to happen. And if I had a chance to ask Jerry one question, it would simply be, do you ever see a day there where you would sell the team? Which would be a waste of a question because we all know the answer to that. Jerry is going to die and the team's going to go to his kids, and they're never getting rid of the Dallas Cowboys, so nothing's ever going to change. And I would cheer for another team, but it's too late now. By the way, Mike is watching at Ice Time Sports in Winnipeg. He writes in, he says, need this one tonight. Go Jets, go. That reminds me, where the heck is... Oh, Scott in Vancouver writes in. He says, why are the Jets so bad? When I look at the roster, I don't get it. Man, we're getting mired down in ADD here. Just hang on a second. We were talking about owners. So I would say to Jerry Jones, do you ever envision a day where you'll sell the team? I just need it for my own peace of mind. Because maybe he'll catch me off guard and say, oh, yeah, maybe. My favorite hockey team in the world is the Regina Pats junior hockey team. I would say to the owner, why are your tickets so expensive? I wouldn't say anything to the Blue Jays owner, my favorite baseball team, because you were just in the World Series Game 7, other than, are you going to sign an effective closer, the next Tom Henke? Because I don't see you doing that. But I'll say it to you right now. If you are watching 902-518-3033, what would you ask the owner of your team if you had the chance to ask him or her one question? Kenny is watching all the way out there in Vancouver. He writes in 902-518-3033 on the Western Dodge text line. He says, happiness is free. I agree with your co-host, Kevin. Have a great day, RP, and everyone else. Yeah, the discussion in hour one took the off-ramp to negative town a little bit. Oh, it was only because we were disagreeing on something and it just got a little heated, but we brought it back. My God, there is enough lunacy out there. Sports, politics, religion. I don't want this show to be that. Bob in Medicine Hat writes in. He says, "G'day, Rod. It's Bob. It's very cold out here. Montreal is my team and the game of the night." Oh, got ahead of me on the poll question. That is the poll question. What's the game of the night in the NHL? Montreal Canadiens home to the Buffalo Sabres. And a classic Adams division matchup. I know there's a very large segment of our audience going, what? Those divisions get burned in your brain. If you grew up with it. Adams, Smythe, Norris, Patrick. It's a classic Adams division matchup tonight in Montreal. The Canadiens and the Buffalo Sabres. Which, okay, that's my nudge to move on. I will just tell you that our picks, which we will get to in depth more tomorrow, Friday, on Football Friday, for the NFL Conference Championship games, are brought to you by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. Get in and warm up at Pump Jack's Cathedral and Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Great place for football watching. Point 3 of the Quick Six show topics. It's Connor McDavid versus Sidney Crosby. Tonight, as the Edmonton Oilers host the Pittsburgh Penguins. McDavid already has 85 points in 51 games this year, while Crosby's on pace for his 21st point-a-game season. As mentioned earlier, Montreal hosts Buffalo. Senators visit the Nashville Predators. And the Winnipeg Jets entertain the Florida Panthers. That's the poll question today. What's the game of the night in the National Hockey League? And I mean, that's why we have a vote, because as you just saw, Bob in the Gas Cities got the Montreal game on tap. Here on this show, I love when our worlds collide, and I live in South Florida. The Panthers are our team. Our number 2 region for viewership ratings-wise is Winnipeg, and the Panthers are meeting the Jets tonight. My God, I'm not prepared to do a pick yet on the game. Haven't thought about it enough, but we will before the show's over today. There are other games, but they don't rate as much as the ones that we've mentioned. Jets, Panthers, Oilers, Penguins, Sabres, Canadiens. There's some good ones. Oh, well, Vegas is playing tonight. I'd story to the Golden Knights fans and viewers down there in Sin City. They're at the Boston Bruins tonight, which was the year the Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup was 2023. And that was the final that I had picked then. Golden Knights versus the Bruins. Little problem on the way to the Stanley Cup final. The Panthers took out the Bruins. That was a hell of a series. And the Panthers met the Golden Knights, and we all know how it ended up. Now I'm looking forward to talking about this game tonight with Hustler Patterson on Winnipeg Sports Talk. 30 minutes after this show ends today. It's a big one. Both the Jets and Panthers are out of a playoff spot right now. I guess now would be the time to talk about it. The gentleman wrote in from Vancouver and said, what's wrong with the Jets? Listen, I feel you. I watched the games too. And that's why you got to be careful of the pundits. We get sucked into it every day. The guys that I respect a lot were writing the Jets off for a good reason. That's the other thing, by the way. The Jets can't be mad when the people are saying the window's closed, you had your chance, you won the President's Trophy last year and you flubbed it, you lost out in round 2. The players don't want to live there. My God, I'm getting all the photos from the Panthers. I'm seeing all the social media from the Panthers people up there. They're freezing their ass off. Do you need any more example of why it's not the most desirable place to play? Maybe that's caught up with them. And, and then they say that the Jets are too old and they won't commit to youth. But now Jonathan Tames has started playing. When you're the Jets and you spent some time in the barrel, a good amount of time in the barrel this year, you can't be mad when people call you up for it. And by the way, it's 1:11 Eastern for the live viewers, 11:11 Mountain for those that observe. Visualize a positive ending. It works, or at least it has for me. I would suggest you try it. Moving on. Jock Wilson is our guest coming up in the next segment, QR Calgary. Again, one of the finest broadcasters I've ever heard, and at least as good of a human being, maybe more so. Point 4, Christian McCaffrey is the first player to be a finalist for 3 AP NFL year-end awards. That's Associated Press NFL awards. Joining Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May, and Matthew Stafford in the running for the Associated Press NFL MVP Award for 2025. McCaffrey and May are also finalists for Offensive Player of the Year. McCaffrey and Lawrence are among the finalists for Comeback Player of the Year. The winners will be announced at NFL Honors on February 5th. A nationwide panel of 50 media members who regularly cover the National Football League completed voting before the playoffs began. And the results came out today. Again, up for MVP. Maybe that'll be the vote tomorrow. That would be a good poll question for EMJ Marketing. Who's the MVP of the NFL this year? Christian McCaffrey, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May, or Matthew Stafford? I'm voting for the Patriots kid, Drake May. Point 5. We do talk about the NBA here on occasion. The Toronto Raptors are off Thursday after winning 122-109 Wednesday against the Sacramento Kings. Toronto improved to 27-19 on the season, good for 4th in the Eastern Conference. The Raps continue their Western road swing Friday against the Portland Trailblazers before ending this 4-game roadie Sunday versus Canadian star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's 5 points. Point 6 is randoms. And what could be more a random than the American Express golf tournament that's going on in California right now, the Australian Open in Australia, which I don't care about. There's some randoms for you. It's one day without talking about baseball, which I do love talking baseball. I'm not anti-baseball, but it is minus a million outside. What I will tell you before we break is sign up for the Rod Squad newsletter. You see it on the screen. If you don't have the means to use the QR code, go to rodpedersen.com, click on newsletter, and sign up for free. It drops every Sunday afternoon. It's columns in the old school way. And brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash. It also includes our best interviews of the week, a I'm sure Jock Wilson's interview will be a part of that. My columns, Scruffy's columns, hot takes. Yeah, we got it all. For Suds full-service car wash, fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. No time left here in this segment to get to your comments, but I'll push them to later in the show where we will have tons of time. 902-518-3033 for Western Dodge and the YouTube chat. We're live across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. Thanks for joining us down there in Sin City and area. And, of course, across Canada and 33 U.S. states on Game Plus TV and WQVC Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hour 2 of the RP Show is brought to you in part by Outlaw Communications, where creativity is a way of life, specializing in strategic communications, leadership training, and clear conversational content that motivates your audience. Check them out at tonyplater.com. All right, we got him. QR Calgary's Jock Wilson. You're looking fresh. You're looking young. You're looking taut. What's different about you, Jock?
Dan, Roddy, do you want to be my agent? You know, great
Sure.
broadcaster, even a better person. Like, can you tell my wife that? That would be fantastic. Actually, I got some really bad news this morning. I got my hair cut just because I knew I was coming on the Rod Pedersen Show. And I've been seeing the same stylist probably for 35 years. You know, Sonia, she's a rock star. She's been taking care of my hair for such a long time. She told me this morning she's retiring. Shoot! I got to find a new stylist, Roddy. I just don't think I can live anymore.
Well, come down to Florida because my gal Melissa, she's a J-Lo clone. She's done hard time, and she doesn't just cut hair. She gives you great counseling in the chair. So, Melissa, it's a reason to come to Florida. I love her. I'm actually going there this afternoon, Jock, so I'll drop your name. Besides the
Okay, I appreciate
haircut,
that, buddy.
well, with all the compliment, we're having a bubbly day here. There's so much crap and junk going on outside these 2 hours on the air with us. Let's have fun here. And for you, where's your focus in sports right now, or life for that matter?
Oh, geez, well, actually, my focus is on Hawaii because I'm heading to Hawaii tomorrow. So if you really want my honest truth, I'm not even thinking sports. I'm obviously excited about the AFC and the NFC championship games this weekend. I think they're both going to be excellent games. You know, obviously following CFL free agency with, that around the corner on February the 10th. So that's exciting. Calgary Flames don't intrigue me anymore because, they're just not a very good hockey club, building for the future, building to get into the new arena. So I guess it's football all the time for me right now, which is fantastic. I love talking football. Hey, my vote would be for Matt Stafford. I think he should be the MVP. But we can go wherever you want to go tonight on the show.
Well, you kind of just did. You covered a lot of things. Like, do you remember who you had, if anybody, going into the year as a Super Bowl pick? Because I'll say it. I had the Bills and the Lions. Do you remember what yours were?
Well, I know I had the Bills because I was jumping on that bandwagon. I knew I had KC out because I just didn't like the direction of that team was going. So I basically said, KC's not going to make the playoffs. My colleague, Dave McIver here in Calgary, I do the football broadcast with him for the Calgary Stampeders on QR Calgary. And he's a big Patriot fan. And I will give him credit. I'll give him props because he said right from day one, he said, Jock, I look at the Patriots schedule. And I like what they've done with their team. I like what they've done in free agency. I like Mike Vrabel as the head coach. I tell you what, this team is going to compete. This team is going to have a chance to win, the AFC, be the number one seed. And I'm going, Dave, you're off your rockers, man. I just can't, I don't see it. How can that team go from crap to elite? Well, you know what? Dave McIver, I give him credit because, that team has gone elite. And now with Bo Nix out, I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Although, full well, you get the number one seed, and you have a very, very good chance to go to the Super Bowl. And sure enough, the Seahawks, obviously at home, they're going to be tough to beat this weekend as far as I'm concerned. And even with Bo Nix out, I still believe that home field advantage is going to give Denver a little bit of an advantage. And to be brutally honest, I'm a big Alex Singleton guy. So, you know what? If Alex Singleton can get to the Super Bowl and have a chance to win a Super Bowl, I'm all in for Alex Singleton. So let's see how it all plays out this weekend. But hey, the Patriots have been a great story this year.
Maybe they better they should put Alex Singleton behind center. I get the game notes from the NFL, and Jarrett Stidham is the first player in the history of the NFL to start a conference championship with less than 5 career starts. But that's why we love sports, Jock, and that's the thing. You've had the wonderful fortune, as have I, to be in the sports media business pretty much our whole lives. And I always hate when kids say to me, I listened to you when I was a kid. But I'll say this, Jock, I listened to you when I was at Mount Royal College, and you were on 9 Calgary Flames Radio, 66 CFR in my 19. How does that feel?
Well, it's funny you mention that because I think Jamie Thomas. Jamie Thomas is a good Calgary kid. He does Jets TV for the one.
Cochran.
Yes, good point. So anyway, so Jamie Thomas was talking Jets on my show the other night, and his mom and dad were listening. And his mom and dad sent him a text because Jamie sent me this text. He said, do you remember Jock Wilson? Like, he's a veteran. He's been around for a long time. Remember when we went to McDonald's on 17th Avenue and got his Sports Talk with Jock mug? That had to be 25 years ago, Rod. Freak, I am old. It's crazy. So Jamie remembered as a kid coming to see me, and now I've got him on my radio show. So, go figure. Hey, are we veterans or are we just old? I don't know.
I don't know, but we're still having fun. That's what I can tell you. So Scott in Vancouver writes in, he goes, "Go Seahawks." I do think these are going to be some tremendous conference championship games on Sunday. So you said that we all think the Patriots will win, but the Seahawks-Rams, if you think Stafford's the MVP, which he may well be, do you see them going into Seattle and pulling off an upset?
It's a great question because, it's your typical offense versus defense game, isn't it? The Seahawks have obviously a better defense than the Rams, although the Rams aren't bad. I just think, defensively the Seahawks are a little bit better. And then you've got the great offense of, Matthew Stafford and the Rams. So what's going to happen? It's funny because I had Clarence Hicks. Clarence Hicks, big defensive lineman for the Calgary Stampeders, signed a 3-year deal yesterday. I asked him the same question. You're a defensive guy. Does defense win championships? And he goes, Jock, that's a little old school. That used to be the case, but not anymore. But he still thinks the Seahawks, because he's got a couple of buddies on that team, are gonna win that game. So flip a coin. I'll defer to obviously Clarence Hicks because he knows a lot more about football than I do. If he is taking the Seattle Seahawks, I'll take the Seattle Seahawks as well. But I do think it's going to be a heck of a game. I think both of these games are going to be really, really wildly outstanding and close and entertaining. So, we've seen some great football right now in the NFL playoffs, and I think we're in for a great weekend.
6 hours of fantastic football on Sunday. Yes, Jeff the Stamps fan, I will get to your question in a second. We discerned earlier this week that Jeff the Stamps fan is our number one viewer of all time. He probably has the most hours logged watching. So I'm not going to forget you, Jeff. I'm not. But I just, one more NFL thing, Jock. With the owner of the Bills talking and starting all this trouble with what he said. Yeah, right. And then the Ravens owner speaking last week. I think all the owners should talk because they're not going to talk again for another decade for all the crap they've started. This is why they don't talk.
Well, it's funny because you probably saw, Robert Kraft of the New England Patriots, go on his local radio station and, talk about the 18-2, 18 regular season games, 2 preseason games, which I think we all knew about, but then saying every single team in the league is going to play an international game, starting next season. I think that's, very interesting. And how do you grow revenues in the NFL? Because the NFL is a marketing machine and they've already tapped out, the TV contracts in the U.S. and, the streaming numbers are off the boards. And it is amazing when you think 93 of the top 100 rated games are NFL games. So it just goes to show you how are you going to grow revenue in the United States is obviously through global, it's through the international exposure, it's through the streaming, it's everything that's going from that standpoint. So I do love it when owners speak. We have an owner here in Calgary of Calgary Sport and Entertainment, Murray Edwards. He doesn't speak very often, so I'd like to see him speak some more. Sometimes it's not a good thing for your brand. Like Terry Pagula, a lot of people will say he's totally screwed up the Buffalo Sabres. Now, has he screwed up the Buffalo Bills? Let's hope not. The Bills have been a good franchise, but a franchise that's never won a Super Bowl, so that's too bad. Do I like how it transpired yesterday at the news conference? From a media perspective, I love it because, you know what, it gives us lots of talking points, everything from that standpoint. But if you're a fan of the Buffalo Bills, you're saying, holy shoot, we are just so dysfunctional. This is crazy. So I do think it's fantastic. And, hey, good sound bites never hurt our business at all.
I know. And the owner of the Ravens, Bisciotti, whatever Steve, I should be respectful, Steve Bisciotti, he took a shot at Tony Dungy when he spoke. He's like, who the hell is he to criticize me? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you're like every owner I've ever met. Why are you so thin-skinned? But anyways, the one question we've been asking the viewers today is if you could ask your favorite team owner one question, what would it be? And what would be yours?
Whew, that is a great question. I guess if I could ask Murray Edwards anything, and Murray Edwards, just so the viewers know, he owns basically all the sports properties here in Calgary, at least most of them. He doesn't own the soccer team. He doesn't own, the basketball team, but he owns the Calgary Roughnecks. He owns the Calgary Hitmen. He owns the Calgary Wranglers. He owns the Calgary Stampeders. He owns the Calgary Flames. I would love to know if Murray Edwards, he's one of the richest dudes in Alberta. The guy is loaded, Canadian natural resources, everything from that standpoint. I would say, Murray, can't you get off your ass, get off your wallet, and help us build a stadium here in Calgary for football? That's what I would love to ask him. Now again, there's all sorts of rumors. Spruce Meadows owns the soccer team, and with the rule changes coming up in 2027, the big speculation, is can you turn a soccer pitch into a new CFL stadium? And I do think Spruce Meadows would love to build a bigger soccer stadium. Could they buy the Calgary Stampeders, and could you see the Stampeders and Calvary FC work under the same umbrella, in the south part of the city? Could that be the road to a new stadium in Calgary? I don't know. This is all. I don't have any inside information, Rod. I'm just throwing it out there because of some of the speculation out there. But I would love to see a new football stadium in this city. I'll give Ken King credit. Ken King, before he passed away, he had this vision about Calgary Next. And Calgary Next was going to be a field house for the city of Calgary, which we've talked about for ages. It was going to be a new football stadium. It was going to be the new event center. And back in the day, that was going to be, downtown on the west side of the inner city, and it was going to clean up, the environmental disaster, which is the creosote that's soaking into the Bow River. It was going to clean that up, and they were going to build this. It was going to be less than $1 billion, and now we're building an event center that's going to cost over $1 billion. So Ken King had the vision, but of course he sort of had an issue with the mayor at the time, and that was Mayor Nenshi, and who's now the NDP leader here in Alberta. And of course they butted heads a lot, and Mayor Nenshi wanted to develop the east side of the city, and he wanted to go on the west side of the city. So it never transpired. We didn't know the exact cost of what it was going to cost to clean up the creosote, but would have dealt with a lot of issues for the city, and it is kind of sad that we didn't see it, because I'm not sure in my lifetime we're going to ever see a new football stadium in this city.
Well, as you say, the mayor didn't want it, period, and city council didn't help, but I was following that really closely. By the way, when I say these owners are all the same, no, they're not. Bill Foley isn't like that in Vegas. And like Ryan in upstate New York writes in, he says, my question to Woody Johnson would be, you promised Jets fans their own stadium when you bought the franchise in 2000. Why are you still sharing a stadium with the Giants over 25 years later? See, there's the owners that make the promises with zero inclination of following up on them. Whereas with Foley, he's told me, as I'm talking to you right now, he's like, we're going to fill this rink with local Nevada people. We're going to win a Stanley Cup in 6 years. Bing, 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 bing. He did everything that he said they were going to do. And that's pretty rare, Jock.
Well, you know what? You got the owner of the Utah Mammoth, basically saying the same thing. And Mr. Smith is, said, hey, look, we don't have a great hockey arena right now, but I guarantee you, and he guaranteed the NHL that they would make improvements to that building, which they have. And they're building something there. So I do love it when owners do put their money where their mouth is, and I think that's good for the fan. It's obviously good for the city too.
Okay, for Jeff the Stamps fan, I don't want to make him wait any longer, and I got to sift through all these comments here. Oh, he says, Mr. Wilson. Outside our own. Wilson. Yeah, he says, outside our own free agents, is there anyone you think that Calgary Stampeders are targeting? And could we see a 4 Canadian offensive line?
Yeah, it's interesting because February 10th free agency kicks in. So, right now teams are taking care of their own free agents. The Calgary Stampeders had a great turnaround season last year. And, you got to give Cole Huffnagel, you got to give Dave Dickinson, you got to give, the organization some credit because they did. They said they were going to be bold. And they were bold because they made the 2 big trades. They brought in Vernon Adams. They brought in Flo Malade. They went out in free agency and they signed some really, really key players. This year, Dave is handling it a little bit differently. He always likes to take care of in-house. But losing Jalen Hutchins to the Vikings on an NFL futures deal, you probably know the story because you follow the CFL so closely, Rod. That dude is a stud. That dude, when he can bench press and just on the interior of the defensive line, I think he's going to get a very, very long look in the NFL, and Viking fans are going to be very excited about him. So that's going to be a big loss on the interior of the defensive line for the Calgary Stampeders. Jacob Roberts, also with the Vikings, outstanding linebacker for the team last year. That's now a big hole for this team. And it's going to be interesting. Flora Malade, of course, he had the Achilles injury. He's not going to be able to start the season. Re-signing Clarence Hicks was important, but the Stampeders made the big gains last year because of what they did on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm thinking, if I'm Dave Dickinson, I'm going to see who exactly is available on February the 10th, and I am looking to, Markel Lee's okay in the middle. He's going to be your middle linebacker in Calgary, but I am looking to maybe bring in another stud on the defensive line, especially on the interior of the defensive line, and then, we'll see what happens at that linebacker position as well.
Chief Johnny Moe writes in from Winnipeg. He says, it's so cold here, the Weather Network app is frozen. Oh, yeah, it's like minus 50 there as the Panthers get ready to take on the Jets tonight. I'm not going to ask you about that game, but you said you're checked out on hockey, but you haven't really checked out on hockey. You host a sports show every night on QR Calgary. Last summer, the optimism in Calgary around the Flames was higher than I've seen in decades, and now this. What is your take on the Flames as we sit here today?
It's a great question, Rod, because I look at the Flames and what they did last year. Everybody was impressed. Everybody was excited. The fact that this team had 96 points last year and basically lose on a count back to the St. Louis Blues and don't make the playoffs, and that was a gut punch. That was a heartbreaking situation because you get into the tournament, as you know, you can pull off the odd upset and you can really create some excitement for the city of Calgary. Right now, the Flames are in a different situation, and now that they've traded Rasmus Andersson, let's be honest. The Calgary Flames had a really crappy power play, even with Rasmus Andersson. I don't know what's worse than crappy, but it's 30th in the league right now. They're probably the 32nd in the league, without Rasmus Andersson being the quarterback. Is Zane Parekh going to be that guy that quarterbacks that power play moving forward? I don't pretend to say I know the entire system for the Calgary Flames and the farm system for the Flames, but I do have my own NHL insider, Craig Button. You know him very, very well, and Craig Button has his finger on the pulse of what organizations have on their farm system and in their system, and he is very, very high on what Craig Conroy has done building the assets, and I think when you look at that, and you see the ultimate goal for this organization is to be competitive when they move into their new building in 2027. Maybe they are on the right track. So I think the big questions here in Calgary is, now that you've traded Rasmus Andersson, what do you do with Nazem Kadri? You could see if you watched the game last night, Nazem Kadri's frustrated. Does he like Calgary? Yes. Does he want to be a Flame and be part of the solution here in Calgary? Yes. But does he want to win another championship? I think yes is the answer to that too. So, if he comes to Craig Conroy and says, look, let's get me to a contender, I think that could certainly happen. And then Blake Coleman is the other guy. Blake Coleman is a veteran, a guy that's won a Stanley Cup championship, still has term left in his contract, but he could certainly help a team. But, in a couple of years, Blake Coleman and Nazem Kadri will be, on the tail end of their prime, so to speak, so will they really help you moving forward. I think those are the biggest things now for the Calgary Flames moving forward. But as you know, you can't win with a bunch of kids in the NHL, because if you're going to go with a bunch of kids, you're just going to be a very, very average, below average team. So
they're running it. We're out of time. Thank you, Jocko. Enjoy Hawaii. Safe travels.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
Good
Take
job,
care.
man.
Anytime.
Good to see you. Thank you so much. Yeah, they're gonna kick us off. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way of the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We got a sports update coming up, but there have been a few text messages that have been sitting in the hopper here at 902-518-3033 for Western Dodge for a while. Wayne in Victoria writes in, and where the heck is it? There's a lot of things here. Oh, I have to say that visualizing a positive outcome does work. It does make you feel better and mostly works out for the better. I know. That's why I've been saying it every day for 1,661 episodes. But thank you for confirming that, Wayne. Vintage Sasko writes in, says, hey, Reverend Rodney, off topic, but what is your favorite Dwight Yoakam song? Advertising Works. LFG. Signed Vintage Sasko. For those that don't know, that don't watch the streaming audience, Temple Garden Center in Moose Jaw is promoting the June 24th concert of Dwight Yoakam this summer, which I hope to be there. I was there last summer for Mark Chestnut, the year before for Clint Black. My favorite Dwight Yoakam song is the first. Hearing it come through the speakers of my radio on CKRM in the summer of 1986, Honky Tonk Man. And it was great going to the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville just a little over a year ago and seeing Dwight Yoakam's sequined jeans there in a glass case. He's not very big. He looks very tall in the television commercials and music video. He's not that big. Honky Tonk Man from the album Guitars and Cadillacs, Dwight Yoakam in 1986 that I mentioned I used to be a country music DJ. I think I picked the right part of the radio business. Troy's watching in the Frontier City. He writes in, he says, it's minus 53 tonight in Toontown. Are you jealous? That's a no. Sports update. Christian, plus 23 Celsius here. I have yet to switch over to Fahrenheit. Probably never will. Sports update, Christian McCaffrey is the first player to be a finalist for 3 AP NFL awards in the same year, joining Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May, and Matthew Stafford in the running for the Associated Press 2025 NFL MVP award. This is the big one, the one which Patrick Mahomes has won twice and Lamar Jackson 2, and I think Aaron Rodgers 4 times. This is the NFL MVP award. McCaffrey and Drake May are also finalists for Offensive Player of the Year award. Offensive Player of the Year. McCaffrey and Lawrence are among the finalists for Comeback Player of the Year. Scotty Barnes scored 14 of his 23 points in the third quarter as the Toronto Raptors defeated the Sacramento Kings 122-109. Barnes shot 8 of 17 and had 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and 4 steals. Brandon Ingram also had 23 points for the Raptors, who outscored the Kings 43-21 in the third quarter. There are 8 games in the NBA tonight, including the Miami Heat at Portland. Former University of Michigan football coach Sharon Moore is back in court for the first time since he was charged in December with home invasion and 2 other crimes. Today's hearing is an opportunity for the judge to get an update on the case. Moore was fired for having a relationship with a woman who was a staff member while at Michigan. Authorities say Moore subsequently blamed her for disclosing the affair and threatened to kill himself. He's pleaded not guilty. That is your sports update for the Ultimate Fan Zone. Rough Riders, Blue Jays, NFL, NHL, you name it, they've got it. Rep your team loud and proud with Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store. Shop now at ultimatefanzone.ca. One more segment to go. I feel like we've covered a hell of a lot of ground here today. And we'll get to all your comments. There's more that have come in. We'll get to it in the overtime segment next, including our NHL picks for tonight. Sorry, I'm just running through all the comments here from the viewers. Jeff the Stamps fan says, thanks for asking Jock my question, Rod. We aim to please here. As we say, it's P1, priority 1 viewers. You watch this show, try to make you happy. I said Jeff the Stamps fan is our longest-serving viewer. There's a little bit of an argument from the audience. They're saying John in Winnipeg owns that honor. You can track these things, but it's not something that I think I'll do. But I think if we did, Jeff the Stamps fan has more hours logged watching this program than anybody else. But we thank everybody that does. And even more thank you to get your questions and comments in for overtime. When we come back, we'll answer them after this break. It is the RP Show, and we are on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network across Nevada, and, of course, Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. As you know, we always like talking to our Calgary people. The chat with Jock Wilson was a popular one. And for those people, do me a favor now and head on down to Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary and check them out. If you're looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot, it's the only place you want to go in Canada, let alone Western Canada. State-of-the-art shooting lanes for hockey, top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination. Plus, the best place to go just to have fun. Team parties, office parties, team building sessions. They've got it all. Check out their website at overtimehl.ca or their social media handles, Overtime Hockey Lanes. There was a chat there, a part of our chat with Jock, where he brought up that's not the way they do it anymore. And this is, as I'm talking to you right now, a true story that it jarred in my mind. I can't remember what Jock was saying because my mind went somewhere as soon as he said it. They don't do it that way anymore. I was at a Panthers game here recently with my good friend Bob Merrier, and he brought with him a friend of his who's an astronaut. Okay? So we spent some time together, and I said to the guy, "You look too tall to be an astronaut." And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I said, well, last time I was at NASA, they told, which is true, I said, they told me you can't be any taller than 5'7". If you're taller than 5'7", they won't take you at NASA as an astronaut. And he's like, "No, I'm 5'9". No, that's not a thing anymore. And I'm like, well, you might want to tell them in Houston to update that. They're telling everybody that goes through there that you can't be taller than 5'7" to be an astronaut. It's all changed. How would I know? Thank God I happened to meet an astronaut that night at the Florida Panthers game, which I'll get to my picks here in a second. But Kirk writes in, speaking of P1 viewers, he's watching on Game Plus TV. And he says on the Western Dodge text line, "Hi, Rod, 3downnation.com has reported that Halifax is building a new stadium. Will it be big enough for CFL football is the question that City Council is debating. Thanks for the update. It's my understanding that stadium will not be big enough for CFL football." That's just what I heard. But as I said way, way back in hour one, I am out of the breaking news and insider information. It's just so much crap flying around. Good luck to them. How about that? Yeah, I sucked at my picks last night. Went 1 of 6 correct. But I never told you to take it to the bank. And nor with tonight's picks either. But there's 3, 6, 8 games tonight. Chicago at Carolina. I'll take the Canes. Dallas at Columbus. Definitely taking Dallas. The Vegas Golden Knights at Boston. I'm taking the Bruins. That should be a doozy, though. It's not even an option for game of the night, but maybe it should be. Buffalo and Montreal, only because of where it is, I'll say Montreal at Centre Bell. That's going to be a doozy. Ottawa at Nashville tonight. Man, the Senators are a box of chocolates, aren't they? You never know what you're going to get. I think I'm going to take Nashville. My game of the night, 8 p.m. Eastern, the Florida Panthers at the Winnipeg Jets. Pomo's return. They've never won there since he left. I think that changes tonight. I'll take the Florida Panthers, says the guy in the Panther shirt. By the way, for the live audience coming up in 30 minutes, I'll be on Winnipeg Sports Talk with Hustler previewing the game. Yeah, I can't wait till 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. Well, I understand why this is leading the poll for the game of the night for EMJ Marketing. Pittsburgh at Edmonton. Sidney Crosby at Connor McDavid. The Oilers are coming off the home loss to New Jersey the other night. And when they lose, they get ripped to shreds in their own market, as you know. That's got to be a tough place to play. Pittsburgh won in Calgary last night. They won in Seattle before that. They're not good enough to keep this going in my mind. It's the mighty Oilers tonight. And the Detroit Red Wings at Minnesota. Where's Jeremy, the Red Wings fan? Listen, I have nothing against Todd McClellan, the head coach of Detroit. I watched that game last night. I'm a Todd McClellan backer and by proxy, a Detroit backer. But because they went to extra time in Toronto last night and have to travel, I'll take the Wild tonight, who were in my top 5 teams, in the top 5, bottom 5 earlier this week. Detroit was not. Those are my picks. What are yours? It's a fun little thing we do every day here called sport betting. And we covered a lot of ground. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Tomorrow, a heavy football day. Kevin the Medium will be back with us from the Hughes Sports Podcast. We'll go more deep into the NFL Conference Championships on Sunday. Are you with me? I kind of wish that there was one Saturday and one Sunday. Didn't they used to do it that way? I feel like they did. Either way, it's a doubleheader on Sunday. The AFC Championship, New England at Denver, and followed by the NFC Championship, LA Rams at Seattle. We'll unveil our picks. That'll be fun. And Jim Barker will be with us from the Toronto Argonauts. And I got to thank the Argos and Jim for keeping that going, because he has been such a popular guest amongst our viewers on this program ever since he started, 2 seasons ago? Jim Barker. Now basically the assistant general manager of the Toronto Argonauts, the oldest pro football team on the continent. So, yeah, it's going to be a big football day tomorrow. But I feel like we did a great job getting through the hockey here today, and I want to thank Jock Wilson from QR Calgary for checking in. Lucky guy heading to Hawaii tomorrow. And also a big thank you to Kevin the Medium from the Hughes Sports Podcast, and I will throw out a shameless plug for them. If you love Vancouver sports talk, check them out, the Hughes Sports Podcast. They do a great job talking about the BC Lions and the Vancouver Canucks weekly every Wednesday. That's it, you all. Enjoy the hockey tonight. We'll be debating some of that tomorrow as well, recapping what I think is the game of the night, the Jets and the Panthers. Some Golden Knights talk tomorrow as well as they visit the Boston Bruins tonight. Till then, thanks everybody for tuning in across Nevada on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and across Canada and 33 U.S. states here on Game Plus TV.
That